Sri Lanka, so you probably know by now that Colombo has like a mad growing stand-up comedy scene. Like stand-up comedy in Sri Lanka has been around for a while, but it's always been stop, start, right?
Yes.
But I'm so glad that finally there's a tiny little wave that's happening. And I think it's like a bunch of people, including you guys. So woo, thank you for bringing this all new wave. So Sri Lanka, I've got Anderson, Satish, Yoshi, the very cool Divakar, and Tanya in this chat. Because comedy, Colombo, it has to happen. So how are you guys feeling about the show on Saturday? Maybe we'll start with you, Anderson.
Super excited for this one because I have a small flashback which happened to 2021, which was 2 years back, right? We were planning to do this show on the 21st or something on January 2020, and we were like all set, like everything was arranged and we put all the tickets, everything is printed, we are ready to invite people. I go to the venue and I take enough videos to promote, and just COVID strikes in, and whatever things we went through, whatever plannings that we did, everything just got washed off. And after that we were a little feeling up and down, and we just did small shows somehow, just to keep ourselves on the loop. And now I'm glad everything is working out, and it's just 2 days away, right? 2 to 3 days away. And I hope there's nothing like another wave of whatever comes up, like, hey, doing more shows, I'm coming. I just don't want the COVID to come back again. Hopefully.
Hope that doesn't happen. How about you, Satish? How are you feeling?
I'm of course excited, really. I mean, we are a set of random people met at a random place, and then we became friends. We started performing in random places also. Suddenly we are doing a show together. I mean, it's a show organized by the team, and that's something exciting. And to know that even the tickets are getting sold out, I mean, that excites me a lot.
I mean, the scene in Colombo is picking up like crazy, man. I mean, literally December was such a great indicator that comedy is one of those things that's needed in Colombo. And Kekari, which happened just like last week, was sold out. So I guess it's only like maybe a few more hours till you guys also have that sold out status.
We are sold out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost there.
No, sold out. We are sold out. Just like 1 hour before we are sold out.
Wait, what? Oh my Lord,
yes.
That's wild.
Like, I think only 30 minutes back, I put a message on the group saying sold out, because we had like 5 to 6 seats remaining, and now everything is gone now.
Colombo, you have just... Yeah. You're on the right track, Colombo. What about you, Tanya? How are you feeling? Like for you, it must be like 2 crazy weekend gigs.
Jeez, I'm super excited. I'm really excited. So like the rest of the team said, it's very exciting because it is the first show that we are organizing as a team. We always have performed in small events and places. But for us, I think this is the first gig that we are organizing by ourselves. It's super exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it.
These days, Satish and Tanya are like super busy. They have a lot of invitations coming up, and in specific, Tanya has more demand because she's the only female stand-up comedian we have. We had someone called Noori before.
Let's not get the gender into this conversation.
We should have a balance in everything. And I think only Tanya is going to inspire more people to come in, because when they come in, it's like everyone is like, guys, Yashan, Anderson, Satish. So I think it's important that everyone is coming out and trying out this thing, and there's a lot of self-discovery involved. I don't think any of us have the stand-up comedy background. It's a huge self-discovery. We're like, I'm fine. Like, for example, you come and talk to Satish face to face, you will have no clue. You'll have zero clue that he can make real good jokes. But when he gets on stage, like, I just always get this stomach cramp and everything. He's so good. Like, even recently, a friend of mine, he was like, Satish can do stand-up comedy, like, because Vikram. I think Satish knows Vikram.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like, I always hang out with this guy. I go for projects and stuff, but I never knew he can make jokes. And the moment this is how he asked me, is Satish really funny? And I'm like, what did you just ask? Just tape your mouth. Never ask that question.
Yeah. Give me 1 minute. Tani, can you remember, we went to have a cup of tea for the ICBT show. When we were coming back, that guy came in a scooter, stopped and spoke to me while we were trying to cross that. That is the guy he's referring to. Yeah, that's Vikram.
And now the world knows who Vikram is, but a face will be inserted on the day somewhere. Yoshi, are you around?
I am excited. I'm so pumped. I haven't been able to sleep. I'm just so excited for this. I've been looking forward to performing in a big stage. Like this is, I usually do open mics and small events. This is like a real proper event. I'm on a poster. My family's like, oh my God, Yoshan's on a poster, you know? I'm just so excited. Like, I'm really excited. I cannot even express it in words. And when I see the audience, you know, I'm just going to be so happy to be there. Hopefully make everyone else happy with me. I'm just so excited.
That's
You're
very
always on posters, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but this is a big event. This is like, you know, Haha Lanka presents.
Hey,
Yoshan,
that's kind of
Yoshan
nice.
is happy that he's not in the wanted poster, but he's on a poster. Like, so it's like, hey, finally.
So who wants to tell me about Haha Lanka, the story, why, and all that?
I think Anderson would be the
Anderson
best to. He's the unofficial boss of Haha Lanka.
Yeah. Haha Lanka does not have like a huge story, but end of 2019, we were just gathered around, and there's a person called Shuhaib Ali. He has a small history of stand-up comedy in Sri Lanka. Do you know Shuhaib Ali?
Yes, everybody knows him. He did a few shows, man, in 2012, and then he did something in 2015. Those were, again, sold-out shows, and that was crazy, even though they happened like maybe once every 5 years. Back then, they were all sold out and they were so good. We had people like Nigel and then a couple more people, man.
Yes, exactly. Nigel, Sasha was also a part of it. And then they had different paths. I was trying stand-up comedy for the first time and I saw it was not working out. So I made a video and posted on Facebook saying, you know, don't try these stuff on stand-up comedy because it doesn't work based on my experience. I just shared it. And then Shuhaib Ali saw that video and he called me. And then he told me, you want to try stand-up comedy? I can give you some guidance and all of that. And then we just sat and we started to discuss, you know, okay, let's bring up a club or something. Let's make the name as simple as possible. And I was like, what about Lanka? And then he was like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, that's easy to remember. It has haha in it, which means stand-up comedy, and Lanka, okay, local brand, Sri Lankan brand. Oh, all right, that's how it works. And then we did a lot of open mics to find the people who are really funny. And we have come across over 50 to 60 comedians. All were really good. But, you know, not everyone stays with you in the long run. And whoever is left here are the A team, you know, who are really passionate. Leftover is not the word, but the A team is the word. Leftover A team.
That's your caviar, but different. Lime caviar, man. That's what you guys are. Rare, but the coolest. Are you guys like an organization or are you a collective? What are you guys?
At the moment, we are a collective and we will be an organization soon because this is kind of like a new industry for us. We are figuring things out. We are learning. We give feedback to each other whenever there's a show. So we are still figuring this out. There's a lot of things to learn anyway. But at the moment, we are just enjoying the journey and then improving.
Just to add on to that, I think the biggest good thing about having it in a group is that you are able to learn from one another. And I always can bounce off an idea of Satish or Anderson, somebody. We can, you know, get feedback. We can learn from one another. When you're a group, it's easier that way because you don't have that many comedians to have your back and to share feedback with you. So that really helps.
How many shows have you guys done as Haha Lanka?
So this team, we're at different places. We meet up and we perform for different events. But Haha Lanka only, I would say 10 to 15 max. It's not that many as Haha Lanka.
I'd say we have done more than 20, right? I mean, we were performing continuously through the second wave of COVID. Yeah, so
maybe like
Haha Lanka around 20.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes Anderson and Divaga would perform somewhere. Likewise, we might perform. So that also can be considered as a team.
So we basically send like one or two of us as offshoots or like scouts to go to different places to gauge the audience. And hopefully if we strike up a conversation, maybe if we make some contacts in the process, they would come back and like bring the whole Haha Lanka brand back into the scene. So if maybe Satish and I would do a show, or Anderson and Satish would do a show. If it goes well, they know about Haha Lanka, and then we'll try to pitch Haha Lanka to them for a future event. That's kind of how it goes mostly. So if you're
Great.
talking about shows in general, we have done over 70 to 80, I would say. But if you're talking about Haha Lanka as a brand presenting ourselves, around 20 to 25.
How do you guys perceive the Colombo audience as?
I guess you can't bundle them up as one monolith. It's very diverse. Depends on where you're performing. Like if you are performing somewhere down Gaul Road to an audience that veers heavy towards the upper middle class Tamil crowd, you need to use a lot of Tamil pop culture references. You can afford to be a bit more edgy with them. Now, let's say you are performing somewhere in Colombo 7, where you are talking about the cream of the crop, the best of the best, like the people who pay us very well. So if you're talking about these people, it's free for all. You can talk about anything as long as you don't touch certain topics with these people. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like people are happy with you being a disruptor as long as you don't disrupt the things they care about. So you have to watch out what you say with these people. But if you're talking about, say, a corporate gig, you have to be very careful what you're doing. It's pretty much, you have a lot of guidelines. And if you are going for a huge audience, say around 100, 200, you don't know what you're going to get, who you are going to meet. So depending on the situation, we may have to tone everything down, be as family friendly and as less risky as possible. You can't simply club them together as Colombo, I would say. But depending on Colombo, I would say 4 to 5 or Colombo 7, 8 and stuff like that, depending on the arrangement. And even sometimes the same audience who are not happy with what you do in a certain context would be fine with you doing the same at a bar or at a cafe. So it's difficult to put them up as a monolith. But if you are going out of Colombo, stepping out of Colombo, then you have to be very careful. Because like Anderson and I, we kind of did a show in Vaunia and the things got pretty hairy. No, Anderson?
Oh my gosh, tell
Not
me.
for me. That was for Divaga. Divaga, you just tell a story.
So here's the thing. So yeah, like, so you know how like Tamil movie stars and superstars are usually taken like very seriously. You know, they are like worshipped like demigods, right? I kind of live in a bubble, so I thought that was like a distinctly Indian phenomenon. I didn't think I would have to deal with this in Sri Lanka. Anderson kind of was like, Diva, why don't we like branch out Lanka to the Tamil audience? I was like, yeah, why not? I mean, anything to, you know, get people on board. So he kind of took me to Vaunia on a show and we performed for an audience of around 50 to 100, I would say. A bunch of people were actually there for a lunch. Only the rest were actually there for the show. So half of them were eating, half of them were watching us. So I didn't realize what I was walking into. I kind of started roasting Tamil superstars. And I didn't know, apparently a bunch of around 7 to 8 people in the audience were planning on finishing up their meal and then finding me and Anderson to have a private chat, which we did not know about. So luckily we finished the show and wrapped things and got out of there. Later on, we found out from a good friend there that, yeah, there was a bunch of guys looking for us after the show.
Wow, that is wild.
Yeah, it does get to that point sometimes.
Colombo's comedy scene, where do you think it's headed this year?
I'd say it's heading in a very good direction because people are more and more open to the idea of you making fun of it, fun of pretty much anything, because a lot of people who were very much pro-establishment have sort of gotten off that wagon after Aragale. So we are now in a good space where we can talk about anything, make fun of anything. It's open season. So it's a good place to be if you're a comic, but it's a bad place to be if you're anybody who's associated with any kind of establishment. Like for instance, sometimes we do hear things from people who may have ties to establishment. Like, do you want to perform? And they're like, nah, we don't want anything to do with this. Because the last thing you want is for people to associate yourself with the establishment or anybody in power. You know, so right now, the more you work as an outsider, the better prospects you have in the scene. And everybody wants to perform now. Like if you go to any, let's say a cafe, if they were to host an open mic 2-3 years back, you would exclusively see guys with guitar and like 1 or 2 people with poetry. That's all. But now pretty much every open mic has at least 1 or 2 people trying out comedy. So that's a great thing. We have had a lot of success in recruiting people working open mics, and some people even get in touch with us out of nowhere just to see if we are doing any open mic. Compare that to the end of 2019, early 2020. If we were hosting an open mic, we had to go begging our friends, Mashan, we are doing this. Like, do you guys want to give it a shot? Like, you're usually funny. No, why don't you talk? Now it's actually very easy. So yeah, it's heading in a good direction.
Yeah, adding to what Divaka was saying, I've been trying to perform in several open mics over the years. But usually when I say I'm coming to do stand-up, they will be like, you know, this is not that kind of environment. We are mostly into music and poetry. But in the recent past, maybe the last 3 or 4 months, I've been invited to several open mics. And at the same time, whenever I say I'm doing stand-up, they'll be like, oh, great, we would love for you to join. So I would say that we as a collective also has had an impact. And, shows like Kakari and all these things that have been uploaded on YouTube, people are starting to enjoy us and not fear us, I guess. I think that's the word.
Personally, I share the same sentiment of everyone else. I think it's headed towards a really good direction. Like Diva said, so many people are actually want to perform, want to see if they are funny, want to see if they can give it a shot, which is really great. Because when we started off, we didn't, like Anderson said, we didn't know that we were funny. So it's always good that people are, accepting it as a form of art, as a form of expression rather. So it's really good. I think, at least in Colombo, it's headed towards a really good direction. So very hopeful.
And who in your group talent scout for newer talent?
We all refer people once in a while, but if you are talking about a person who goes out on the hunt, it's Anderson. I mean, Anderson found me, so yeah.
Anderson found me.
Satish found me, didn't he? Did
I found
Anderson find me?
Satish.
I don't know.
We both contacted
Shuaib got me and Tanya get in touch anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
He randomly made a video call to Tanya, and Tanya was like, what? It's like an unofficial Zoom meeting.
I know, like a video call. I'm like...
And then I was sitting in a corner of the house or something. And then he was like, oh. We both performed at the same event, but we didn't know each other.
That's how I also got to know Tanya. I mean, we performed through Zoom. And then I sent her a message, and at the same time, even Zoe contacted her. So
we found each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay!
The
Found each
universe
other in
brought
a
us together.
hopeless place.
For me, of course, I went for a show. I think Anderson was performing. There was an open mic at Playtrix, and I was blown away. Like, I was like, oh shit, I would love to try that. And I was too chicken to do it, but then they had this stand-up workshop. And, through Lanka, Shoaib was also there. I went for a couple of training exercises with Anderson. Then they had another open mic at the Cafe Social, it was, in Gold Road.
Yeah.
And I tried it there, and people laughed. And man, that rush. Whenever I feel, a little bit down or whatever, I just remember on stage and you make people laugh. That rush, I don't know, it's exciting. I love that feeling. I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoy that rush.
What are some of your favorite places to perform in Colombo?
I wouldn't say places as such. To be honest, anybody who would have us, we'd perform. We are at that point where we're like, if you have a hut in beach, let us know, we'll come and stand.
Yeah, bro.
So not essentially, but kind of desperate, I would say. But so pretty much any place we perform. I mean, we have performed. There was a time there were 4 of us performing for an audience of 3. So yeah, that also happened. It's pretty much like shouting at the void at that point. But in terms of the best shows we've had, I'd say the shows we've had at Cafe Social was very good, but they're no longer in the scene. So yeah, that was a very good show. And we have had a few good shows in Surya Village. That was also like a very good show. But it's more to do with the crowd than the location at this point. We don't really know what kind of crowd comes to what location. Sometimes there are people who know us and they just want to see what we are doing and they come through. We still consider ourselves as people who have not made an impression of any sort. So whenever people come, bro, I saw your video, I wanted to see you. So I came here, I'm like, oh, so yeah, people do know me. So you have that kind of situation going on still at this point. So more to do with the crowds than the actual locations, I would say.
I did a show at Decibel for a much more mature crowd. Like, they were way older from what I could handle. Like, when I was cracking my jokes, they were, rather than laughing, they were more like, oh, this kid, like they were like all just nodding like, So as Divakar said, it's the audience. Once we see the audience, we have to change our comedy according to the audience. So that's something I'm learning. Like, I'm constantly learning, getting advice from Anderson, Satish, Tanya, and Divakar. So it depends on the audience. When you see the audience, you have to change yourself, as Divakar was saying.
Yeah, and we learned it the hard way, to be honest. Like, there was this one occasion where Anderson and Shoaib kind of told me that it's an adults only show. So, you can do whatever you want, no worries. So I walk in. And Anderson is laughing because he knows what a big betrayal it was. It was like 80% ultra-conservative Muslim families. And it was a show exclusively for Muslims. And in the front row, we had 5 children. And I was going to talk about all kinds of stuff. And 5 minutes before the show, I'm going through my phone. Okay, what are the family-friendly stuff I have? and we put together whatever we had, and surprisingly it went well. The thing with family audience is, as long as you talk about problems in family in a somewhat decent manner, they are happy with what you do. They just don't want you to get edgy, but it also depends on how accustomed you are to changing things on the spot. So that was actually a very good learning experience, which I think pretty much all of us had gone through at different degrees at different places, I'd say.
Okay.
Satish has something to say.
No. It's the same thing what I have to say. I mean, why he's saying that is because mostly my content is not family friendly. But then later on, I had to change a lot of things. I mean, I had gone through, like, even before I start, I see kids coming and sitting in the front. I mean, that's very difficult. I went through a situation like this once with Anderson. I mean, I completely changed a lot of my scripts, and now I do mostly family friendly scripts.
See, I disagree with that, because I refuse to accept that Satish is not family friendly, because if you can tweak the language a bit here and there if you want, but Satish is the most family friendly comedian because he's the oldest of us. He's been married, he's seen kids, he's done all kinds of things. He has a lot to say about families, and like barring one or two instances, pretty much everything he has spoken about is about family. The problem is people are just like a bit taken aback by certain presentation things here and there. But he is, to be honest, the most family-friendly comedian. I mean, if you put a bunch of 30, 35-year-old people in an audience, like 30, 40 people, out of all of us, Satish will be the most likely to kill the show because he has the best content for those people.
That is very cool. And you guys, I think, mentioned in one of the conversations that you had like a stand-up comedy workshop. Is that something that you would like to do this year?
Good idea, Yasmin. Yes, I think no, I think we can. I didn't think about the workshop idea, but yeah, I think we should at least because again, we all have different unique styles of comedy. Even that itself, we can learn from each other. I would become a student for one, and then I could teach some, my body language is funny usually, so I can teach body language to Diwakar and because Diwakar is a zero body language comedian, but Yoshan is like I think he's full on body language comedian. And also we had someone coming from Poland this time, Peter. He's performing on this Saturday as well. So the reason why I thought I should organize this show is because he's coming. Otherwise, I don't think I would have organized it. Now I'm going to be like, okay, whoever is coming or not, I have to organize. So thanks to Peter. So he is like a very established comedian in Poland. And also he's willing to share his experiences and knowledge. So I think there's going to be some exciting learning on the way.
Okay. And so for people who missed out on this show because it's sold out already, would you be doing like a part 2 of PPSD?
Yes. First of all, I love the PPSD name. It's so easy to remember. The name credit goes to Diwakar. He was like, yeah, PPSD, bro. Because I think he's good with his literature name.
He's a literature teacher.
He's a teacher. So
no, we don't talk about that.
And like when it's really difficult for us to, go everywhere and find a name that everybody remembers. It has to be short as well. So now when people refer to it, they don't ask for, yeah, you guys have a comedy show? No, they ask PPSD tickets. So it's like easy to even use that name frequently. So there'll be part 1, part 2, part 3. Planning to do it every month, but there'll be more parts and episodes coming up.
Nice. That's always like so refreshing to have that, because I feel like Colombo, after 2 or 3 really mad years, I mean, we're finally ready to go out and have such a good time and just like enjoy proper whatever stand-up comedy there is. And thank you for doing what you guys do. And so when do you think the next show will be?
Probably end of every month, because it's post-pay stress disorder. That's a show name. So it has to be after pay.
Well, or whatever that's left of pay at this point.
Yeah. Even if you're organizing it by the mid of any month, we can still call it prepay stress disorder. So the name still remains PPSD. So that's the beauty. That's the beauty of Diwakar's naming techniques.
Guys, you have to do a show for Valentine's Day because it's the most ridiculous day on the planet. The sales, the couples, you have to do something.
Last year, I was single, but this year I am mingled.
That's all the more reason.
I think that's a good idea. February 14th. Is it what day is it? Is it a
Wow, it's a
It's a
Tuesday.
weekday.
Tuesday.
It's a weekday. Yeah.
You could do it the Friday before that or the Saturday before that.
Yeah, Valentine's Day special.
Or
Yes.
maybe just get everyone
Let's see.
together around Viarama Devi.
And throw stones at people under the umbrella.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
I'd be up for that. I'd definitely be up for that.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so much fun.
I think my wife will be in front.
Holding a fruit basket because throwing jambus and things at those people.
She'd be like, don't do it. It's a mistake. Don't do what I did. Run.
But yeah, that'd be so cool. And hopefully Sri Lanka, if it's meant to be, you can always find it on their socials. And finally, guys, in closing, is there anything that you want to add?
That's a very deep question, though. Yeah, it's simple, but it's deep. What to say? I think this comedic culture, it's not just for stand-up comedians. I think every one of us should have that sense of humor to laugh about the things that we went through. It's not like you're undervaluing that experience or anything. You're just taking it easy because you cannot stick to that same scenario for a long time. And after 5-10 years, you're like, oh, why did I actually feel sad about this situation? The more stand-up comedy things we do, we are just making it kind of like normal for them to discuss about these problems, but not in a very sad and angry or frustrated way. But, there's a lot of sharings happening. Like usually our comedy style are based on our experiences. And some experiences are bad, but we have something to learn out of it. But at the same time, we have that nice flow of putting that out. I think for us, it's not just comedy, it's comedy with purpose. People are receiving it. Somehow they're getting a message out of it. And also they are creating that culture. If there are more comedians coming, great. I want Sri Lankan comedians, like community of people. I don't want competition. I want more collaborations to happen. People should keep bouncing here and there. Like, hey, I have a show with that team. I have a show with this team. Okay, it's great. I want to see that happening, actually.
The whole point of us being here, I believe, is that I'm pretty jealous of what India did with comedy in the last 7-8 years. Like it's a very conservative country, just like Sri Lanka in most regards. Maybe not as insane, but almost there. You get it, right? It's like a country like that, but in there they started something called I don't know if you're familiar with AIB, All India Bakshod. So there is something like that, and there's a bunch of comedians doing all kinds of things. At first, they were always under threat. They were in a lot of trouble. But now, cut across to 10 years later, they are doing fantastically well. They have millions of subscribers. They have struck deals with Bollywood production companies. They're doing big there. They are like the central authority to comedy. And everybody who has worked with them, they have gone on to start their own comedy clubs. For instance, there was this guy called Arvind from down south in India. He was a bit popular in the smaller circles. Eventually, he started doing more and more and more. Now he has 2 Amazon specials. And he also has his own comedy club, the Spotted Hyena, in Mumbai and in Chennai. This is happening in India within 10 years. So I would say we have been doing this for 2 years. There's a long way to go. We just want to see a culture where comedy is viewed as a viable profession, and comedians are not viewed as people who are either doing it as a side gig or unemployed guys just giving out their opinions. I don't want that to be the case. I want it to be like a legitimate thing that is respected and admired for what it does and what it represents. Like you can talk about extremely sensitive issues in a crowd of 100, 200 people without any discomfort if you are willing to laugh about it. I mean, last Friday when we did a show, I literally did a bit about missing my mom, and it was a comedy bit, but it was about missing my mom. So you can channel comedy however you want. So once you crack it, that's all there is. I would like to see a guy talk in a very positive way about his ex while making fun of her. Like usually any joke about ex tends to be a bit on the toxic side of things. So I would like to see somebody do a joke about, hey, my ex is so great, and continue on praising the ex in a funny way. I don't know if that's possible. Let's see if Anderson's relationship tanks.
Oh, nasty, bro, nasty.
That's comedy. Bro.
Let's cut that bit out.
Cute, funny Indian song.
So yeah, if I'm just to add on to that, just like Anderson and Deva said, I also really believe in this whole thing of purposeful comedy, intellectual comedy, right? And it's really great that people are finding it as a form of expression, a form of art. I am just grateful for this team and also the other comedians out there, Hasalaka, Ishan and that team, and also like the Kihan, Block, Dom, those figures, for making an effort to really make an effort to, sustain the industry, the comedy industry in Sri Lanka from throughout the years. So I'm really grateful for all these people and the crowds that come to see us, because without them, really, our performance will be nothing, because you need to have a good crowd with a sense of humor in order to be a good performer. So I'm really grateful for all these people, for the fact that we are able to do what we do.
Comedy has been some kind of a coping mechanism for myself. As Divakar say, looking at some traumatic incidences and then making fun of it and then sharing it with others. It's kind of a coping mechanism for myself. And I'm so thankful to Haha Lanka for giving me this chance and able to, express myself. As Tanya said, we have to thank the previous comedians who were there, Kehan, Block, Dominic. Recently, I met Dominic and I chickened out. I couldn't speak to him. I was like, oh, it's Dominic. And I just froze. And he was like, are you okay? The sad part is we went to the same school and I know him from school. And still I froze. I'm just so happy that we are moving forward, and I'm happy that we are able to bring smiles to everyone. And I hope we are going to keep moving forward and thank the fans who are coming in, buying tickets. Yeah, I'm so excited for what we have in store in the future.
Coolest, thanks a lot, you guys, for joining in for this interesting conversation. And here's to an epic 2023 filled with ha-has from the Lankans. And like they say in Sinhala, Jai Wewa to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Ja,
Thank you, Yasmin.
Jai Wewa.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.